The heavy glass doors of Hillsworth Financial Bank swung open, allowing a rush of cool, air-conditioned air to spill out onto the busy city street. As Marcus Reynolds stepped inside, the artificial glow of fluorescent lights bathed the sleek marble floors in a cold, sterile sheen. The faint hum of office chatter, the rhythmic tapping of keyboards, and the occasional rustling of paperwork filled the space, blending into a monotonous symphony of routine. Marcus took a deep breath, adjusting the cuffs of his navy blue suit. Every detail of his appearance was polished, his tie neatly knotted, his leather shoes gleaming under the bright overhead lights. He had been banking with Hillsworth Financial for years, and today, he was here to discuss an important financial matter regarding his portfolio. His eyes scanned the room, looking for an available banker. And then, he spotted him, the branch manager, Richard Calloway. A middle-aged man with graying hair, Calloway carried himself with an air of authority, his tailored suit crisp, his gold wristwatch catching the light as he gestured while speaking with a customer. Marcus approached the reception desk with a polite smile, ready to introduce himself. But before he could utter a single word, something unexpected happened. Calloway's gaze flickered toward him for half a second, just long enough to acknowledge his presence, but then, without hesitation, he shifted his attention to the man behind Marcus. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I assist you today?" Calloway greeted the other customer warmly, his tone laced with an almost exaggerated enthusiasm. Marcus blinked, momentarily thrown off. Perhaps it was a mistake. Maybe Calloway hadn't realized Marcus had been waiting first. He took a step closer, clearing his throat lightly. "Excuse me, Just a moment, sir," Calloway cut him off without so much as looking in his direction. Marcus's polite smile faltered. He watched as Calloway personally escorted the other customer to a private desk, chatting amiably, treating him with the kind of attentiveness one would expect from a high-end concierge. It was then that Marcus noticed something unsettling. Another customer walked in, a young woman dressed in business attire. She was greeted immediately. Then came an older man in casual clothing. Calloway didn't hesitate to direct him to a banker. "Marcus?" He remained standing at the counter. Invisible. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Every time he tried to get someone's attention, he was met with vague responses. "We'll be right with you. Just a moment. Someone will assist you shortly." But no one ever did. By the time 1 hour had passed, the frustration was beginning to settle deep in Marcus's chest. His patience, which had been a steadfast companion throughout his career, was now being tested in a way that felt uncomfortably familiar. 2 hours. That's how long Marcus waited. 2 hours of standing in the same spot, watching others receive service instantly while he remained ignored. Have you ever been in a situation like this? Have you ever felt invisible, not because of what you did, but because of who you are? If this story is already making you think, take a second to subscribe to this channel. Stories like this need to be heard. By subscribing, you ensure that these conversations reach more people who need to hear them. And if you've ever experienced something similar, share your story in the comments. Let's make our voices louder together. At exactly 3:30 p.m., everything changed. The heavy glass doors opened once more, but this time, the energy in the room shifted dramatically. A group of corporate executives entered the bank, their polished shoes clicking sharply against the marble floors. The employees immediately took notice. The quiet murmur of conversations hushed. Bankers straightened their postures. And Richard Calloway? He transformed. Gone was the dismissive man who had spent the last 2 hours ignoring Marcus. Now, he was all smiles, his voice dripping with warmth as he practically sprinted toward the executives. "Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hillsworth Financial. We are truly honored to have you here today," Calloway gushed, his tone suddenly overflowing with enthusiasm. And then, it happened. One of the executives, a tall woman with sharp eyes and an undeniable presence, stopped abruptly. Her gaze scanned the room before locking onto Marcus. Her face lit up with recognition. "Marcus," she called out, her voice carrying across the silent bank. All heads turned. The entire room, which had moments ago treated Marcus as invisible, was now watching intently. Calloway's eager expression faltered. His brow furrowed as he looked between Marcus and the executive, confusion flickering in his eyes. "You know him?" Calloway asked hesitantly, the confidence in his voice wavering. The woman smiled, striding directly toward Marcus and shaking his hand firmly. "Of course," she said, her tone both warm and authoritative. "Marcus Reynolds is one of our top financial advisors. He's here today to review customer service practices at this branch." A thick silence settled over the room. Calloway's face lost its color. His mouth opened, but whatever excuse he was trying to form never left his lips. The weight of realization crashed down on him. Marcus didn't need to say a word. His presence alone was enough. What followed was a long, uncomfortable meeting. A discussion about professionalism, inclusivity, and the fundamental values that Hillsworth Financial claimed to uphold. The executives didn't hold back. By the end of that meeting, Richard Calloway was no longer the branch manager. This story isn't just about one man being ignored at a bank. It's about a reality that too many people face. A reality where respect is conditional, where it's given freely to some, but withheld from others based on assumptions, biases, and prejudice. But here's the truth: respect shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a standard. And in the end, you never know who's watching. If this story resonated with you, don't just move on. Let's keep this conversation going. Speech balloon comment below if you've ever experienced something similar. Thumbs up like this video to show that you stand against discrimination. Bell subscribe so that more people can hear stories that matter. Every action counts. Let's make sure no one ever has to feel invisible again.